You've got 15 minutes. We've got go-to-market strategy and real talk. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Mandy. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered, the podcast for founders and go-to-market leaders who want to scale smarter and stay sane while doing it.
Each short episode includes a tactical takeaway, from ICPs to poopy pipelines to LinkedIn DMs that don't suck.
In other words, this isn't your podcast ran by sales bros in Patagonia vests. This is Your Future Biz Unfiltered.
Your idea isn't validated just because your mom said it's smart. You need a real, painful proof that someone actually wants what you're building. How to find out if your startup solves a problem worth solving.
So I feel like, this is such an important one because the amount, especially like founders, entrepreneurs, they always have an idea, right? They always have some idea about something they want to solve, but being able to validate it enough where you can actually make a business out of it, that's a whole nother story.
Absolutely.
And I don't see personally enough discrimination of people like with their own ideas, and testing out to really validate it enough. So I'm glad I actually did a little more research too, so that we could talk about it as to like how much scrutiny we really, should be doing when we're really trying to see if we're solving a real problem.
Yeah, and I think that we get so excited with our ideas that we just jump into it. And just because we love it and think that it's amazing and that everyone else is going to love it, that's not actually the reality. And so we need to take a more logical and less emotional approach to the situation.
I really actually love the call out of like, don't go to your like friends, family, and like coworkers to start your validation, which is something that like I think is a tip that's been talked about for a while, right? That you get told like, go to your initial network. And I'm like, actually, don't do that. Like my nephew actually wants to always start some new startup and he'll give me the idea. But because I'm from this world, I will actually start asking him a bunch of questions that start to kind of pick it apart. And I know
you'll be the negative Nancy out of the situation.
Right. Like, and obviously I feel about it. I'm like, I'm the Thea, I'm the aunt that's like raining on his parade. But like, yeah, if I wasn't, so involved in this world, I would probably go like, well, that sounds like a great idea. Like, no, like, don't ask your circle first because they're already biased towards just like supporting you versus being able to help objectively scrutinize a little bit more. So
exactly. Okay, so then who should we ask and how many of them are we talking about here?
So I have gotten to know this awesome woman whose whole business is literally around getting your first like happy paying customers that like road to 1 million ARR. Her whole thing, she was like, people don't want to hear this. You should have 100 conversations to try to validate if you're solving a real problem.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot. That's a lot of conversations.
It is. But what I love about her suggestion, her whole framework, is it's not just 100. It's actually a very phased approach that, you should do. And this isn't any different than things that you and I will always talk about when we talk about strategy and everything. It's iterations. So it's not just 100, it's actually, think of it as these phased iterations you'll be doing along the way to continually kind of validate or invalidate your hypothesis of what you think you're solving for.
So we're not just picking up the phone in 1 week and calling 100 randos.
No, and I think there's enough great structure and know-how out there that new founders or founders at all aren't just grabbing 100 randos, but they're still only grabbing like 100 people that maybe have a certain title. Like
sure.
that's really just not enough. Hint, hint, when we talk about the ICP, in another episode. But you should think about, who that target audience is amongst the 100. And you can start a little bit more broad, but then you should also start thinking about how every 10-ish people or so that you speak with, those conversations, like, then how can you tweak it and get it even more specific each next 10 people?
And I think this is where AI note takers are very, very valuable in these situations. So just a pro tip for everyone. Make sure that you have a note taker handy on these calls. It's going to make your life so much easier. So,
and it's just, I mean, as a sidebar, I've actually been suggesting for a really long time to really lean on your AI note taker so that you can have a more active discussion. And I get it. Like, it's hard to let go of the like taking notes thing because you feel like, oh, I don't want to miss anything. But guess what? These note takers these days they're good. They're solid.
Better than you.
Yeah. Yes, they're better than us. They're way better listeners than we are.
Way better. This whole goal is to be an active listener and to gather these insights. And you don't need to be wasting time taking manual notes when we have lovely AI for that now.
These are not sales conversations.
Correct.
Right? This is not pitching your idea. This is how can I see if the problem that I'm thinking about solving and potentially how I'm considering solving it, but not too much of the how, because that's not really the goal here. It's the if the problem is strong enough to build off of, then you should, as with any kind of call, discovery type call, you should be actively listening so you know where to go deeper. So if you're not really hearing what someone has to say, you're just worried about writing down every word that they've said, you miss those opportunities in an active listening like mindset to then go, oh, you just said something. I actually want to dig into that more.
Why? It's like the 7 layers of why, right? Like you always want to be asking that to dig deeper, to get to the actual root of the problem and the emotions of the problem. Like how is it impacting their life, even personally, you know? So if you're not paying attention to all of those answers, then you're not going to be able to dig deeper. And that's what we're looking for here, is like really getting to the heart of these pains, these challenges, so you can see if your solution really is the answer. And then not to mention, it's going to give you messaging ideas the more you talk to these people.
I've been in discussions before where someone's asked me, you know, well, how do you even know if the idea that you have, your problem that you think you're solving is, you know, the next unicorn and all that crap. And you know, first of all, I tell you, I'm like, first of all, you got to let go of that, because that's not the goal here. And to be honest, like, you've heard of businesses before that just are so successful because you're literally solving a problem that changes that person's life. And so that's what I tell someone. I'm like, try to see if the problem you're solving changes that person's life. It could literally, I heard about a guy who ran a business that had to do with the way he like helped do something in someone's garden. Like, it was a whole business that had to do with landscaping, essentially.
Okay.
But he was literally that changed someone's life and in the way that he was doing it. So there you go. That's a valid problem to continue building off of, and you had a really successful business, you know? And that's what I love. Yeah, I was like, I love that. So when you're taking these phased approaches, you're kind of chunks of 10, you're going to get a little bit more specific after each 10 people, so you can take a moment, reflect on it. How can you iterate from it? My suggestion too is having a mindset of instead of how can I validate this, how can I invalidate? You're going to hear me constantly always talk about how can we figure out all the ways we're wrong instead of trying to prove the ways that we're right. That's my favorite way to build strategies. I think by the time you get to probably like the last like 25-ish, you probably could start to test out a little bit more of a sales approach in the calls to see if anyone would actually be wanting to work with you in any sort. But the very beginning should be like just very focused on like more of a research approach, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Okay, so for our listeners, what is there to do? What is their homework?
What's the tactical takeaway? Because that is one thing we're always going to be giving, right? Is what can you go walk away with? So if you are this person right now and you know, what do I do with this? Then you need to go build that 100-person target audience so you can talk to 100 people. Think about who you think has this problem. So don't just go find all the people who have gardens to fix, right? It's like the type of people who have gardens, maybe the size of their gardens matter, maybe the location of where, the weather, you know, so really try to get as specific as you can who would be having the problem you're solving for, and then go find those people. And it can be using LinkedIn, it can be using Apollos and Lucias and all of those types of things. But there's lots of ways to do it. Go find your 100 and put some intention into thinking about how you're going to try to get more narrow every, 10-ish people. Really think about how you're going to invalidate what you think might be the problem you're solving for so that you know how to ask them. And then one thing I'll plug is, I talked about Sweta earlier. She has an actual company called Happy Paying Customers, where she helps founders on that 0 to 1 million journey. But she even has this newer offering that's like more self-serve that helps give you this framework. So if you're a person who's like, I just really need something crazy structured,
Go do it.
Go do it.
Okay, awesome. So we're breaking out the chunk. We're getting 100 potentials to talk to, and then we're breaking them into 10 to 20 groups. And how many do you think realistically a week people should expect to chat with?
I mean, I guess that depends a little bit on your own personal circumstance. I mean, if it were me and I was only focused on this, I'd probably try to do 10 every week. But realistically, that's probably more like 5 to 8.
Yeah, we could say 5 to 10, but shoot for 10. Yeah. Let's say shoot for 10.
I would shoot for 10.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you and I are the same in that we're probably more like, I want to do 10 a week so that each week I can have an exercise to then reflect back on my 10. That's just how I would want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so in the next episode, we are going to dive deeper into who the F are you actually selling to. So we gave you a framework now on how to actually start this and how to know if you're solving a real problem, but then we need to drill down into the specifics of your ICP. So that is coming up next. Anything else you want to add, Lindsay?
Nope. Go have fun talking. Actually listening. No talking. Listening.
Have fun listening. Yes, have fun listening. Follow us, and we will see you on the next episode.
See you then.
Okay, now go build something cool.
If you like what you hear, or at least didn't hate it, hit that follow or subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.
And if you didn't know, this is a video podcast too. So if you want to see our lovely faces, go check us out on YouTube and subscribe there.
And just like that, another business problem got a little bit clearer, because in the business world, it's not about who raises first.
It's about who lasts.